A very good evening to you and welcome to tonight's edition of Primetime News, coming to you live from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. My name is Krishan Devasagaya.
And I'm Vera Verakon.
We start off tonight's bulletin with a message where China's new ambassador to Sri Lanka has said that China always takes Sri Lanka as a priority in its neighborhood diplomacy.
We will have details of this story later in the news bulletin. Before that, here's a look at the headlines for tonight.
The headlines on Newsfirst.
Death penalty for drug lords. Government stops short of decision. Why is the BASL silent as judges come under attack? Executive committee member asks President Rajiv Amarasuriya. Rajitha Sena Ratna indicted in Colombo High Court. Gammadda gifts new library to Varutta Lavilan School in Jaffna.
And in your top story tonight, Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa says that imposing the death penalty on individuals involved in drug trafficking is one of the proposals put forward as part of the efforts to combat the drug menace, but that no decision has yet been made on implementing it.
The issue of imposing the death penalty for drug trafficking was discussed yesterday at a meeting of the national operation titled A Nation United, chaired by President Anurukumara Disanayake.
රටමකට මෙවමා සම්බන්ධ වෙලා මේ මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය වැරදිකරුවන්ට මරණ දඬුවම ගෙනීමේ යෝජනාවක් සාකච්ඡාවෙන් පවතිනවාද රජතුමා එමතුමා?
රජයේ සාකච්ඡාවක් විතරද නැත්නම් මේ මරණ දඬුවම් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවද?
නෑ මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ බරපතලකම පිළිබඳව සාකච්ඡා කිරීමේදී සමහර පාර්ශවයන්ගෙන් ආපු යෝජනාවක් අදහසක්. එය කෙසේද කරන්නේ කොහොමද කරන්නේ කියන එක සම්බන්ධයෙන් අවසාන නිගමනයක් ඔය කතාවයක් නැහැ. ඔබට පේනවා මේ පාතාලය මත්ද්‍රව්‍ය ජාවාරම ඇතුළු මේවත් එක්ක සිදුවන ක්‍රියාවලිය පිළිබඳව කතා බහ කිරීමේදී එක එක පාර්ශවයන් කරන යෝජනාවක් පමණයි.
Kotahena police have reported facts to the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court regarding the fatal shooting of a relative of alleged organised crime gang leader Kanjipani Imran. The facts were presented before Colombo Additional Magistrate Lian Varshavithana. Kotahena police informed court that two unidentified gunmen had carried out the attack, shooting the victim in the head and the neck. The victim was identified as Mohammad Azmi Mohideen, a businessman who operated a hardware store at number 480 Sangaraj Mawatha. Police further informed court that investigations are underway to trace the suspects involved in the killing, but that no information regarding their identities had been uncovered thus far. The court ordered police to conduct an expedited investigation into the incident and report progress without delay. Meanwhile, airport police today produced before the Negombo Magistrates Court two suspects who were brought to Sri Lanka from Malaysia yesterday, together with Ratmalane Saima, an associate of organised crime figure Kanjipani Imran. Airport police officers informed court that the two suspects had been arrested in Malaysia while staying with the criminal suspect known as Ratmalane Saima and were subsequently brought back to the island. Additional Magistrate Subani Abesekara ordered that the two suspects be remanded until the 17th of August and directed police to continue investigations and submit a progress report to court. The suspects produced before court were identified as Ladduhandige Lasanta Lakmal Silva and Viyanage Ishan Shalinda Kumara. Meanwhile, Ratmalane Saima remains in the custody of the Peradeniya police under a 48-hour detention order following his production before the Kandy Magistrates Court. Now, a prison guard attached to the Colombo Magazine prison has been arrested in the Borella area. Police stated that he was arrested for aiding and abetting a drug trafficker. The arrested individual is a 52-year-old resident of Beliatta. He was arrested by the Mount Lavinia Division Crimes Investigations Bureau. Meanwhile, questions were raised at today's cabinet media briefing regarding statements made by certain parties targeting judges in the context of the government's proposal to extend the retirement age of judges by 2 years.
ව්‍යවස්ථාදායකයේ කටයුත්ත සම්බන්ධයෙන් අධිකරණ පද්ධතිය විනිසුරුවරුන් නම් කරමින් විශේෂයෙන් මේ දුර නම් කරමින් කරන විවේචන හරහා ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයට සහ අධිකරණයට සිද්ධ වෙන අගතිය ඒ වගේම ඒ හරහා අපහාසයක් වෙන්නේ නැද්ද කියන කාර්යය තමයි ප්‍රශ්න කරලා තිබුණේ. ආණ්ඩුවේ ස්ථාවරය මොකක්ද මේක සම්බන්ධයෙන්?
ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාවේ 22 වෙනි සංශෝධනය සහ අධිකරණ සේවා පනතේ සංශෝධනය
Even before the government introduced the 22nd constitutional amendment and the proposed amendments to the Judiciary Act, certain opposition MPs had already begun launching allegations and attacks against the judiciary and judges, both inside and outside Parliament. Before that, similar attacks were directed at the Director General of the Bribery Commission. Then, they were directed at the Director of the Criminal Investigation Department. Then, at the Inspector General of Police. Then at the Secretary to the Ministry responsible for Public Security. After that, they expanded these attacks to include the judiciary. I recall that even before the judgment relating to MP Chaminda was delivered, opposition MPs had already begun attacking judges and the Chief Justice, both inside and outside Parliament. What we are seeing now may simply be a continuation of that pattern. From the government's perspective, it is very clear who is being targeted and which institutes are being targeted. In particular, the officers and institutions responsible for carrying out investigations, the institutions responsible for filing cases, and the institutions responsible for delivering judgments, including judges themselves, have become targets. In some instances, when the individuals concerned have lodged complaints, the legal system has to take action. For example, following remarks made by former MP Sagara Karivasam suggesting that the Inspector General of Police could be killed on a public road, an investigation was conducted and facts were reported to court. The matter was taken up before court yesterday and bail was granted. Such judicial processes are already taking place. Therefore, it is very clear why these attacks are being carried out and why the judiciary, the Chief Justice and other judges are being targeted. The objective appears to be to obstruct the entire process from investigations and prosecutions to the delivery of judicial decisions. At the same time, there appears to be an attempt to create distrust among the public regarding these institutions and the systems responsible for upholding law and justice in the country.
අධිකරණ තීන්දුව ලබා දීම දක්වා මේ කටයුතු අඩාල කිරීම සහ මේ පද්ධති සම්බන්ධයෙන් රටේ ජනතාවගේ අවිශ්වාසය ගොඩනැගීම.
Executive Committee member of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka, Attorney at Law Jagat Abenayaka, has written to BASL President Rajiv Amarasurya, highlighting that certain parties had made malicious statements personally targeting the current Chief Justice during discussions on extending the tenure of judges. In his letter, Attorney at Law Jagat Abenayaka points out that against the backdrop of the proposed amendment bill seeking to extend the retirement age of all judges, certain members of the BASL and some politicians have portrayed the proposed extension as one specifically intended to extend the tenure of the current Chief Justice. The letter further states that certain opposition members of parliament appear to have used parliamentary privileges to make highly derogatory remarks, personally targeting the Chief Justice, describing this as a serious attack on the entire judicial system and the rule of law. Attorney at Law Jagat Abenayaka stresses that he did not expect the BASL to remain without any response or objection to the defamatory statements being made against the current Chief Justice personally. He has also informed the BASL president that in such circumstances, the association's silence could lead the general public to perceive it as an unspoken endorsement of those statements. In his letter, he has requested that as a member of the BASL Executive Committee, he be given an opportunity to raise and discuss these matters at an upcoming meeting of the Executive Committee.
The Bar Association of Sri Lanka, or BASL, today released to the media a letter sent to Attorney at Law Jagat Abenayaka bearing the signatures of the association's president and secretary. According to the letter, Abenayaka is identified as a supporter of the National People's Power or NPP government and is currently serving as a director of a state institution. The Bar Association stated that political affiliations should not result in bias when carrying out responsibilities either as a member of the association or while serving on its governing bodies. The letter further notes that the importance of functioning independently of political parties is specifically enshrined in the Constitution of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. The BASL has also informed Jagat Abenayaka that any individual serving as a member of the executive committee of a political party is not permitted to simultaneously hold membership on the executive committee of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. Quote, The BASL has an established process through which matters are considered and decisions are taken. Matters are ordinarily considered in the first instance by the Executive Committee and thereafter by the Bar Council and sometimes even the wider membership. As you know, this matter at hand has also been approved by the general membership of the BASL. In that context, we note with regret that although your letter was dated and circulated publicly yesterday, you did not attend the meeting of the Executive Committee held yesterday, at which this matter could have been raised and discussed with your fellow members. Consequently, the Executive Committee was unable to consider the matters raised by you with your participation and was compelled to defer consideration of the same to a future meeting. We would therefore appreciate your attendance at that meeting so that the concerns raised by you may be properly considered through the established process of the association. End quote.
Meanwhile, a meeting between the President and the Bar Association of Sri Lanka is scheduled to be held tomorrow. The President's Media Division said the meeting will take place at 1 p.m. tomorrow, following an invitation extended by the President. The proposed amendments to extend the retirement age of judges are expected to be discussed at the meeting. Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, who opposes the proposed extension of the retirement age of judges, expressed his views on the matter at a meeting with farmers held in Lunukam.
The government now says it has a perfect solution to the problems faced by paddy farmers. They say there is no problem and that they will create a prosperous era for the farming community. How are they going to do that? By increasing the retirement age of judges of the judiciary. Now the government says that once the retirement age of judges is increased, farmers will receive the promised 150 rupees per kilo of paddy. Will they? Everything they are doing is a deception. Everything they are doing is a lie. Now they are asking us to build these reservoirs. If we come to power, we had planned to develop a modern irrigation system in this country by rehabilitating major, medium and minor irrigation schemes, developing new irrigation projects and creating a modern reservoir and irrigation culture reminiscent of that ancient era. What is the government's only answer to the problems faced by farmers now? Increasing the retirement age of judges. They keep repeating this like a mantra. We are increasing the retirement age of judges. Will this benefit Chena farmers? Will it benefit paddy farmers? Will it prevent human-elephant conflict? Will electric fences be built? Will farmers receive post-harvest technology? Will storage facilities be built for farmers? Will the suffering of farmers be alleviated? Will the country's economic growth rate increase? Will inflation come down? Will the prices of goods decrease? Will unemployment be reduced? Will export-oriented production increase? Will exports grow? Will garment factories be established? Will more factories be created and domestic production increased?
The Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption has filed indictments before the Colombo High Court against former Fisheries Minister Rajitha Senaratne in connection with allegations of corruption. The indictments relate to allegations that Rajitha Senaratne caused losses to the state by awarding a project involving the removal of sand from the Kirinda Fisheries harbour to a South Korean company while serving as Minister of Fisheries. According to the charges, on the 19th of May 2012, Rajitha Senaratne approved a proposal submitted by a South Korean company to launch a project to remove accumulated sand from the Kirinda Fisheries harbour, process it and release it to the local market. The Bribery Commission informed court that under normal procedures, a proposal of this nature should first be referred to a cabinet subcommittee with the relevant environmental assessments and other reports being obtained and reviewed before approval is granted for implementation. However, investigators alleged that the former minister departed from the standard procedure and approved the project after obtaining only a report from the chairman of the Ceylon Fisheries Harbours Corporation. The Bribery Commission further stated that after the project had been awarded, it was discovered that the company lacked the facilities required to carry out the sand removal operation. As a result, the former minister had allegedly intervened to provide facilities owned by the Fisheries Harbours Corporation, including the vessel Valigoa. According to the Commission, the transaction caused losses exceeding 26.2 million rupees to the Fisheries Harbours Corporation. Avant-Garde chairman Nisanka Senadipati appeared before the Bribery Commission today and provided a statement. The commission had summoned him to record a statement in connection with the controversial Krish transaction. After giving evidence for approximately 3 hours, Senadipati left the commission premises. The development comes as Colombo High Court proceedings are already underway against MP Nama Rajapaksa, who has been indicted over allegations that 70 million rupees was criminally misappropriated in connection with the Krish transaction.
Journalists today questioned several senior members of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna about national organizer Namal Rajapaksa's absence when the party's General Secretary Sagara Karyawasam appeared before court over a statement he had made regarding an alleged attempt to assassinate the Inspector General of Police on a public road.
When Sagara Karyawasam was arrested yesterday, produced before court and subsequently released on bail, several leaders and representatives of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and other opposition parties were present in support of him. However, Nama Rajapaksa was not present. Journalists questioned several senior members of the party on why he did not attend.
දැන් ඒ වෙලාවේ ශ්‍රී පුජ්ජන පෙරමුණේ මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් විශාල පිරිසක් සහභාගී වෙලා හිටියා. නමුත් මේ නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා සහභාගී වෙලා හිටියේ නැහැ. මොකක් හරි ගැටලුවක්ද පක්ෂේ පිල් දෙකක්ද මොකක්ද එතන?
නෑ මෙහෙමයි. පක්ෂේ පිල් දෙක තුන වෙච්ච
No, this is the case. The period when there were two or factions within the party is now over. I don't need to elaborate on what happened in the party 2 or 3 years ago, particularly during the last presidential election. For the past 3 days, Namal Rajapaksa has been in the Anuradhapura and Badulla areas, meeting farmer organizations, representatives and politicians involved in agriculture in farming communities, as well as Buddhist monks at temples. So he was engaged in those activities when the CID summoned the party's General Secretary.
පක්ෂයේ මහලේකම්වරයා කැඳවන්නේ.
The following comments were made at a media briefing held at the party headquarters.
අවස්ථාවේ අපි දැක්කේ නැහැ මේ ජාතික සංවිධායකතුමා එහෙම මේ පැත්තට සහභාගී වෙලා එතුමාට ශක්තියක් වගේ
නෑ ඊයේ නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මැතිතුමා.
No, that is not the case. Yesterday, Namal Rajapaksa was in the Anuradhapura and Badulla areas as part of a program that had been planned in advance. There was a series of public meetings and he was attending those meetings. I believe he was paying attention to the situation as well. He also made a statement to the media there regarding the matter, so he was aware of the situation.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa states that the Provincial Council elections will be held as soon as the delimitation process is completed. The minister clarified this during a media briefing held today.
දැන් ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී දිනේ එනවා ලබන මාසේ 15 වෙනිදා. ඉතින් මේකට කලින් මැතිවරණයේ තියන දිනයක් ප්‍රකාශයටපත් කරනවද කොහොමද තීරණය?
අර දිනයට කලින් තියන්න පුළුවන් වේද කියලා මම
I do not know if it can be held before that date. However, if Parliament passes the delimitation process related to the electoral system quickly, we will be able to hold it even before that date. But right now, I cannot say for certain because the delimitation has not been passed under the electoral system we adopted. Having said that, we cannot suddenly make a decision to revert to the old system, the one everyone rejected, calling it corrupt, based on preferential voting with no constituency MP and no guaranteed women's representation. That is not the public's wish. Therefore, if the public wants that, we would have to see whether they actually do. The next phase of the current approved electoral system is delimitation. Once the boundaries are demarcated and electoral divisions are established, we are ready to hold the Provincial Council elections at any time.
A number of large-scale development projects are currently being implemented in the Badulla district, which was severely affected by Cyclone Ditwa.
As part of these efforts, modern ambulances and equipment were handed over to hospitals in the Badulla district today. The government has spent 181.5 million rupees for this purpose. Ambulances and equipment were distributed at the Badulla Regional Health Services Director's office premises under the patronage of Minister Samantha Widyarathna. These were provided to the Diyathalawa, Dalimada and Bandarawala base hospitals as well as Koslanda and Lunugala regional hospitals. A sum of 123.9 million rupees was spent on the ambulances, while 57.6 million rupees was allocated for the necessary state-of-the-art medical equipment.
One thing we really needed was a cath lab for the Badulla Teaching Hospital, so that cath lab has arrived now. By 2028, we will receive another cath lab machine through JICA assistance. Similarly, for cancer patients, there is mainly that machine called Cobalt machine. I think there was a huge demand. Therefore, a Linac-type machine worth 600 million rupees has arrived. A 10-story building is currently being constructed at a cost of 7,000 million rupees. It will house separate departments for neurology and cardiology, meaning matters related to heart and neurological conditions. In addition, another 10-story building is under construction at around 2,300 million rupees. A wastewater treatment plant is also coming up, for which I think around 600 million rupees will be allocated.
The amount allocated this year to uplift primary healthcare is 45 billion rupees. In line with the A Thriving Nation, A Beautiful Life policy statement, foundation stones were laid yesterday for sports grounds at 2 schools under the development of sports infrastructure. The estimated cost of the construction of the Badulla Dharmadutta College sports ground is 76.5 million rupees. The sports ground at Ridhimalayada College is also scheduled to be constructed at a cost of over 79.7 million rupees. Meanwhile, the seed paddy production processing facility in Dewlapalassa Mahyanganaya was inaugurated recently. The government spent 8.8 million rupees on this seed paddy processing facility established at the Dewlapalassa Dedunu Agricultural Cooperative Society premises.
The newly appointed Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the People's Republic of China to Sri Lanka, Wei Huxiang, noted that China always takes Sri Lanka as a priority in its neighborhood diplomacy. In an arrival message following his appointment by Chinese President Xi Jinping, Ambassador Wei said it was both an honor and privilege to serve as China's envoy to Sri Lanka, which he described as the pearl of the Indian Ocean. Wei emphasized that while China advances its modernization agenda under the leadership of President Xi Jinping, Sri Lanka is simultaneously pursuing economic development and improved living standards under its vision of building a prosperous nation and a better quality of life for its people. The ambassador stressed that China is ready to walk side by side with Sri Lanka, strengthen the synergy of development strategies, and open up broad prospects for mutual success and shared prosperity, so as to continue to deepen strategic cooperative partnership featuring sincere mutual assistance and everlasting friendship, and to work together to build a China-Sri Lanka community with a shared future.
The children of today are the future of Sri Lanka. That is why Gammadda continues to place the needs of children at the heart of its mission.
Now, in another initiative aimed at shaping brighter futures, Gammadda today laid the foundation stone for a new library in Jaffna, creating opportunities for children to learn, grow and dream beyond the challenges that they have inherited.
This is the Varuthalaivalan Tamil Mixed School in Telipalai, Jaffna. It is a school serving children from a community that was resettled after enduring years of economic and social hardship. The school has 7 teachers and 105 students. Despite their determination to learn, these children do not have access to library facilities. Their greatest need has been a dedicated library building. Recognizing that need, Gammadda today laid the foundation stone for a new library building with financial support from the Gammadda Public Fund. The initiative was launched in the presence of Gammadda Deputy Leader and MTV Chief Executive Officer Yasurat Kamalsuri, along with a number of guests. Among those present at the event were Shakti TV channel head M. Kulendran, Telipalai Zonal Director of Education V. Arasakesari, Jeffrey Jebadarshan, Manager Newsfirst, School Deputy Principal M. Banushan, members of the teaching staff, Newsfirst Promotions Manager Rasika Dinesh, Gammadda Assistant Manager Gihanu Dyogal, and members of the Gammadda team.
We හැමදාම විශ්වාස කරනවා කොළඹ ඉන්න අයටත් යාපනයේ ඉන්න අයටත්
We have always believed that children in Jaffna deserve the same opportunities as children in Colombo. That is why we are building this library for your school and will soon open it with a collection of brand new books. Because I work in the media industry, I have had the opportunity to travel to many countries around the world and meet numerous global leaders. One of those leaders was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I once asked him what message he would like to give to the children of Sri Lanka. His answer was simple. He said, study well, read books, read widely, and create new things. It is through reading that we gain knowledge. It is through knowledge that we discover new ideas and create a better future. That is why I believe this library will change your lives. At this moment, I would also like to respectfully acknowledge the chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, Mr. Sashi Raja Mahendran, and Gammadda leader Shevan Daniel, whose vision and leadership continue to make projects like this possible. I encourage all of you to make the fullest use of this library. Read every day, learn as much as you can. One day, become citizens who make meaningful contributions to this country.
හැමදාම පොත් කියවන්න. පොත් කියවලා රටට වැඩදායි පුරවැසියෙක් වෙන්න.
We can build more than just a building for a library. It is a foundation for the future of the students here. A foundation for many dreams. You have dreams in this country. This library will pave the way for you to turn those dreams into reality. Sometimes a small sentence you read can change your life. So read all the books, ask yourself questions. You too can grow into a leader.
The foundation laying ceremony was held in parallel with the annual chariot festival of the historic Mavidyapuram Kandaswamy temple in Jaffna. Deputy Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Chaturanga Abesinghe said that Sri Lanka's small and medium enterprise or the SME sector will play a pivotal role in driving economic growth, exports and wealth creation as the country moves from economic stabilization to expansion. He was speaking at the Scale Up 2.0 National SME Forum 2026 organized by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Scale Up 2.0 National SME Forum 2026, organised by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, got underway in Colombo. Deputy Minister Chaturanga Abesinghe noted that Sri Lanka has spent the past 3 years working towards macroeconomic stability, strengthening its debt repayment capacity and achieving key milestones in its economic recovery journey.
We all know the country has moved for the last 3 years towards a stable place in terms of macroeconomic stability and our ability to repay our debt. And we have reached certain milestones in our growth trajectory. And we would see more expansionary measures coming up in 2027 from the fiscal reforms that will enable growth, that will be more conducive for business. Because next 5 years, we are planning to achieve a significant annual growth in the GDP. And especially in exports and GDP growth, we see the contribution from the SME sector will be pivotal. And it's very important for this government as well for one particular reason. We believe in the SME sector as a mode of redistribution of wealth. We have a significant poverty issue in the country. We have an unequal distribution of resources across the country. I would say the only and the most important solution is growing entrepreneurs and growing SME sectors. An SME sector that does not stay alone or individual basis, but who's connected to either local or global value chains.
The Ceylon Chamber of Commerce's Scale Up 2.0, the National SME Forum 2026, provided SMEs with a platform to address some of the most pressing challenges affecting business growth, from accessing markets and meeting evolving business requirements to securing finance and building the capabilities needed to scale.
We believe that creating these connections is essential if we are to help SMEs move from survival to growth and from growth to scale. We are also working closely with various government institutions, development agencies, and industry bodies to ensure that SME concerns are heard and that support mechanisms are better coordinated, more accessible, and more impactful. Today's forum reflects that collaborative approach. The discussions on market access, standards and certification, growth financing, and business competitiveness are all aimed at identifying practical pathways for SMEs to expand and succeed.
Bringing together policymakers, industry leaders, financial institutions and business support organizations, the forum focuses on solutions and resources that will help SMEs become more competitive, market-ready and positioned for sustainable growth.
In more local news, the Adi Amavasya religious observance will be held tomorrow.
Adi Amavasya, observed during the Tamil month of Adi, is considered an important day for Hindus to honor and remember their ancestors. Devotees observe fasting and perform Tharpanam, an ancestral ritual seeking blessings and peace for their departed loved ones. Many devotees perform these rituals at sacred water bodies, temples or at their homes. They also offer food to crows and engage in charitable activities as part of the observances.
Tomorrow, Wednesday the 12th, is Adi Amavasya, which is considered an important day for worshipping one's ancestors. On this Adi Amavasya, those whose parents have passed away should observe a fast, perform Tarpanam, make charitable offerings, light moksha lamps, perform moksha archana and offer prayers. Those who have lost their father or mother should definitely observe this fast. When praying to the ancestors and preparing offerings for them, only food items cooked at home should be offered to the ancestors.
The future of internal audit is here. Are you ready to lead it? Join the Institute of Internal Auditors Sri Lanka's 11th National Conference on 13th August at Cinnamon Life. Discover intelligence, integrity and impact in the AI accelerated era. Register today.
And in world news, we cross over to South America, where over 160 people have been confirmed dead following the deadly earthquake in Colombia, which took place in the early hours of Monday, whilst rescue efforts are still ongoing.
Southern Ferdinando brings you more details from this developing story.
That's right, Krishan, and we are rescue efforts across Western Colombia carried into the second day on Tuesday as emergency workers dug through collapsed buildings and flattened homes amid expectations that the death toll from the country's most powerful earthquake in decades could rise. The 7.4 magnitude earthquake tore through Colombia's coffee-growing heartland early on Monday, killing at least 164 people.
The quake reduced multi-storied buildings to rubble in cities such as Pereira and Cali and cracked apart one of the towers of a historic cathedral in the city of Manizales. Emergency teams aided by police, soldiers and volunteers worked through the night with excavators and at times with their bare hands hunting for survivors beneath the debris. In Cali, home to about 2.2 million people, at least 85 people were killed. Dozens of buildings were left leaning precariously or destroyed outright, forcing residents onto the streets. Several of the top floors of one of the city's hospitals, some dedicated to pediatric care, collapsed upon themselves, leaving some patients trapped and forcing some 600 others to be tended to on a street strewn with rubble, Hospital Director Erne Torres Castro told local television. In Pereira, capital of the hard-hit state of Risaralda, authorities reported 66 people as dead. The city also bore some of the most visible destruction, with entire residential blocks reduced to piles of concrete and twisted steel. Videos posted on social media and verified by Reuters showed the city's airport violently swaying during the quake, with large chunks of the ceiling collapsing as people sheltered. Another 13 people reportedly died in Choco, the rural province closest to the quake's epicenter. Colombian President Abelardo de la Espriella, who assumed power just days ago, said 35 people died in Cali alone, while 188 people still remain missing. He said 1,000 members of the security forces would be deployed to the city by dawn, following reports of looting. Cali, as well as Pereira, implemented curfews last night. The disaster has drawn comparisons to a deadly 1999 earthquake that devastated the same coffee-growing region, killing more than 1,000 people, as well as two catastrophic quakes that killed more than 6,300 people in neighboring Venezuela in June.
Weather first.
Let's now take a look at the weather report for the day.
Taruni Karunaratna brings us the details.
Thank you, Krishan. Thank you, Viara. Well, the Met Department says that showery conditions can be expected at times in the Gaul, Mathura and Kaluthara districts. Several spells of showers may also occur in the Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces, as well as in the Gampaha, Colombo, Kandy and Nuwara Eliya districts. The Met Department also goes on to say that showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and also in the Batiklo, Ampara and Mulathu districts after 2 p.m. today.
Now in more local news, Chief Advisor to the President on the digital economy, Dr. Hans Vijayasuriya, says that Sri Lanka has embarked on an ambitious economy-wide digital transformation strategy aimed at expanding the country's digital economy from its current value of approximately 3 to 4% of the overall economy to more than 12% by 2030. He was speaking at the Sri Lanka International Insurance Summit 2026.
The Sri Lanka government has embarked on a whole of economy transformation in terms of digital enablement, or a whole of economy digital transformation. What does this mean? It means that today's digital economy component of the total economy, which is at around 3 to 4%, is being placed on a growth trajectory to go from that 3 to 4% to 12% by 2030. And you put numbers to this, it will be taking a $3 to $4 billion digital economy to $15 billion in that same period. Now, what is important is that as the subset of the macroeconomy attributable to the digital economy, you can think of it as a small bubble within the big economy. As it expands in its significance, it has been shown globally that it provides an uplift, a kicker to normative economic growth. And I think all of us would agree that it makes sense, because as we increase efficiency, as we increase speed, agility, and we pull out costs, wastage, and we contribute productivity into our economy, the faster we do that through digitization, the higher the uplift you will get to normative economic growth.
The Sri Lanka International Insurance Summit 2026 brings together leading voices across the insurance ecosystem, including industry leaders, policymakers, global reinsurers, brokers and innovators. Building on the success of previous editions, the summit continues to serve as a dynamic platform for knowledge sharing, strategic dialogue and meaningful collaboration across both regional and global markets.
An event commemorating the clearance of 1 million landmines in Sri Lanka over the past 17 years was held at Westminster House in Colombo yesterday. Global Ambassador of the Mines Advisory Group, Golden Globe and Emmy and Olivier Award-winning internationally acclaimed British actress Rosamund Pike attended the event.
Sri Lanka has cleared 1 million landmines over the past 17 years, and the milestone was marked at an event held at Westminster House in Colombo yesterday. The event brought together representatives of the Mines Advisory Group and diplomats and other stakeholders. Global Ambassador of the Mines Advisory Group, Golden Globe and Emmy and Olivier Award-winning internationally acclaimed British actress Rosamund Pike attended the event.
Landmines. I don't know how much any of you know about landmines, but there are a lot of tropes about landmines, and perhaps the one that springs most often to people's minds is that scene that you get in the Hollywood film where someone's traversing dangerous terrain, taking a cautious step, hears a deadly click, and they freeze, glued to the spot, knowing that to release the pressure is to release a bomb. It's a delicate, nail-biting maneuver in which some heavy object is slid carefully towards our hero, gradually replacing the pressure that the misstepped foot is exerting, allowing our hero to step away with life and limb. It's very good for the movies. It's nothing like reality. It doesn't happen like this because that's not how landmines work. After 25 years of progress, Sri Lanka is close to the finish line, and completing the clearance will return land safely to communities, create opportunities for development, and help ensure that future generations no longer have to live with these dangers left by conflict. And it might just be by talking about it. You can talk about the fight. You can talk about the thrill of Sri Lanka finally being able to declare herself landmine-free and what that will mean on a world stage, the significance of that declaration. Your support, it can help a family return home. It can help a child walk safely. It can help Sri Lanka become one of the few countries in the world to triumphantly overcome this deadly legacy of conflict. Thank you.
Pike, who served as a MAG ambassador since 2021, visited mine clearance sites in Mannar and Mullaitivu during her visit, where she observed demining operations and met deminers, survivors and families affected by landmine contamination.
So it's extremely significant, particularly the timing now. We've been demining in Sri Lanka since 2002, so it's been a long stretch. So we've had almost 1 million people have now resettled into land that has been cleared. Housing has been built, people have started farming. We've cleared areas around temples, clinics, schools, and we believe that once the land in the north and east is cleared, it's got the potential to unlock more than $1 billion of investment in terms of agriculture, tourism, infrastructure. So it's a very important time for Sri Lanka.
MAG has been working in the country since 2002, with operations currently covering several districts, including Mannar, Vaunia, Mullaitivu and Kilinochchi. The clearance of 1 million landmines marks a significant stage in Sri Lanka's mine action efforts, while clearance and risk education activities continue in affected areas.
From cricket to bodybuilding to even lethal bots, we have a comprehensive sports roundup for you tonight.
Sandra Ferdinando brings us the details.
First up, it's cricket. SSC secured a convincing 5-wicket win over Coles in the Inter-Club Limited Overs cricket tournament, chasing down a target of 251 with ease. Let's take a look at these details on this story and much more from the world of sports.
The SSC team recorded a convincing 5-wicket victory over Coles in the Inter-Club Limited Overs cricket tournament. The match was played at the Coles Cricket Ground in Colombo. Batting first, Coles were bowled out for 250 runs. Mudita Lakshan narrowly missed out on a century, scoring 99 runs. In reply, SSC reached the target with 5 wickets in hand in just 39.4 overs. Opening batter Siobhan Daniel led the chase with a well-compiled 71 runs. Avishka Fernando and Nuanidu Fernando also contributed with half-centuries. The Southern Province Bodybuilding Championship, held in conjunction with the 50th National Sports Festival, concluded successfully. The tournament was organised by the Southern Province Ministry of Sports. The competition was held at the Uyanwatta Stadium in Mathura, featuring contests across 8 weight categories. The award for the best athlete of the tournament was won by WMC Ajit Kumara. Poland's Iga Świątek has qualified for the women's singles semi-finals of the 2026 Canadian Open Tennis Championship. She secured her place in the last 4 by defeating Russia's Diana Schneider in straight sets in their quarter-final encounter. She secured her place in the last 4 by defeating Russia's Diana Schneider in straight sets in their quarter-final encounter. The match, played in Toronto, Canada, ended with Świątek winning 6-2, 6-1. Świątek currently occupies 8th place in the women's singles world rankings.
Innovation, engineering and competitive spirit collided at Sri Lanka Technology Campus as some of the country's brightest young minds went head-to-head in Lethal Bots 2026, an action-packed inter-university robotics showdown inspired by the world-famous BattleBots competition.
Lethal Bots 2026, one of Sri Lanka's most exciting university-level robotics competitions, brought together student innovators from across the country for a high-energy battle of engineering skill, creativity and technological excellence. Organised by the Sri Lanka Technology Campus, the competitions featured 10 teams representing universities from across Sri Lanka, competing in an inter-university robotic combat challenge inspired by the world-famous BattleBots format. After a series of intense encounters, Team Ascension from SLTC emerged as the champions of Lethal Bots 2026, securing the top honour in the competition. The event provided a platform for young engineers and technology enthusiasts to showcase their innovation while applying theoretical knowledge to real-world challenge in robotics, automation and mechanical design. Sirasa TV and YFM served as the official media sponsors of the event.
And that's a wrap of your primetime news for tonight.
Thank you for watching. Take care, good night and God bless you.